Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. What a pleasure to have you with us now. When is now for you? Because for us, it's Sunday, June 11th, here from the West Side Comedy Theater. I like to look at it in case they change the sign and name of the place since I was here last. Turns out they have not.
You never know. They're always changing hands here.
Well, they repainted the place.
And yet, about a month ago, and still have yet to hang back up any of the posters or headshots.
It sounds like it's annoying you.
Well, you know, I'm on a house team and no one would know because our sign's not up.
That's right. Goldie, in fact, performs this coming Wednesday, I believe.
That is correct. At 9 p.m. as opposed to 8 p.m. See, people don't know these things because these signs aren't
And
up.
although you're a writer on the house sketch team, you will be on stage in pain.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm being forced to perform a monologue that I wrote for myself, which I don't think is funny, but we'll see.
It's all looking up.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking up, your Pittsburgh Penguins could win the Stanley Cup today.
Well, they will win the Stanley Cup.
Because they're away, and they've never won one at home.
No,
They're up 3
I have
games to
confidence
2.
that I don't know. I have maybe I shouldn't be as confident that I think we're going to win another Stanley Cup.
Well, the Nashville Predators, a fake team, they have only 18 years, I believe, as a team, are still a favorite on the betting line to win.
They are favored?
They are a favorite. Well, they're at home, and they rarely.
Oh, tonight, not overall.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
Oh God, no. But they are fair. Anyways, there'll be some yelling and screaming starting at 5 p.m. Mm-hmm. Very excited. Sammy?
How long does it take a fake team? Because I agree with you. 18 years, that's a fake team. How many years do you give them before you acknowledge them as
25.
real?
31.
I say 30.
Yeah, I was.
Because I won't acknowledge the Marlins till 2023.
As fish?
As a team.
I see.
Yeah.
Are our Marlins mammals at this point?
Well, the Miami Marlins.
Yes.
They are mostly mammals, save for Giancarlo Stanton, who's some sort of, I don't know, prehistoric mythical beast. But I think the fish marlin is a fish.
Has our guest been at Big Slick? I'll have to ask.
I have been there, and I do not recall.
Oh, okay.
Our guest being there.
I suddenly had a flash when you were talking all this baseball. We have Big Slick coming up in a couple of weeks.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. Brian McCauley, our intern to the stars, I want to give an update. As some of you may know, at the end of last week's show, I shared that he was, while trying to be a good Samaritan, hit by a drunk driver. Yeah. And went to the hospital immediately, where they decided, hey, we're just going to take one of your legs just below the knee. So an update, had another surgery this week just to avoid infection. Always good. I'm a big believer in the avoiding infection while in the hospital. Recuperating well. Will probably be discharged from the hospital into physical therapy place this week. Who's on the show today? And then we kept writing to each other. So all of our love and strength continue out to Brian. I, for the first time, did a voice on The Simpsons last week.
Get the what?
Yeah. And I've never felt such pressure.
You did 3 voices.
In my life. I did 3 voices, it's true, mathematically speaking. 1 main voice and then 2 secondary
couple
characters.
liners, yeah.
Actually, the Bagel Man, which ended up being just Dewey Jewington, someone had requested Alan Arkin, and then Jim Brooks, surprisingly, and if not shockingly, came in to direct the session, which I could tell the other people were not comfortable with. Like there was already a director there to do it. And then Jim walked in. And so I felt such uneasy that I asked afterwards, so this, I take it from your response, it doesn't happen often. They said last time he was in to direct a voiceover session was Lady Gaga. So Lady Gaga and then me, right?
Which if you recall, that Lady Gaga episode was 4 years ago at least.
Yeah. Well, there's more other chasms between Lady Gaga and me other than 4 years.
But I'm just
No, I think in 4 years from now you could be Lady Gaga.
You mean like for Halloween?
No, like we could do a Malkovich wants to be a puppeteer thing. We could change you as people know you into Lady Gaga.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it really was the most intense, pressure-filled, maybe, of anything I've ever done. Just because an eagerness to please, but also earning his laugh when it came was incredible. But definitely knew what he wanted and was not going to go easy on me until he got it, which was spectacular.
And he got it.
Fucking scary as hell.
But he got it.
He left the room eventually.
God.
He left the room eventually saying goodbye. That was great. No, he left a couple times. In fact, when we went to see the writers afterwards, one of them said, how'd the session go? I said, well, Jim directed, and they all went, what? Did he laugh over every take and ruin it? I said, well, not every take.
Well, they also asked, did you have to do every take 75 times?
Yes. Which,
Here we go. Here's Jason yelling at me.
believe
What did I do
71.
this time?
Is she not mic'd again? Did you not replace her battery?
No, he was just making a Jim Brooks joke.
Okay.
I just assume he's yelling at me.
Write to us, won't you, at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. I'm going to read some fan mail, but first invite you to check out some recent episodes of the show. Christopher Guest, Lauren Graham, these are separate. Billy Bob Thornton, Rob Riggle, J.K. Simmons, Craig Ferguson, Dave Foley. Upcoming guests, Paul Reiser, Carl Reiner. Interestingly enough, every time we did a take on Few Kit Men and the judge came walking back in and the bailiff would say, all rise. Rob Reiner, Carl's son, would say, Paul Reiser, instead of all rise.
I like that.
Little tidbit. December's the 25th anniversary. Thanks for asking. Rob Corddry, Paul Rudd, and Bob Saget. Those are upcoming shows, as well as Ricky Gervais, still threatening on October 29th. Fan mail. Let's get this out of the way, and then we'll go to our guest, who's been unbelievably patient thus far. See how it goes. All the way from Copenhagen. Do you say Hagen or Hagen?
I would probably say Copenhagen.
I say Copenhagen because it reminds me of the brand of chew that my dad would use.
Everything comes back.
No, listen, this is like where my OCD kicks in. I would always line up the can so it matched, because we would like cut like the name of the chew in half, and then I would like line it up so it was
So it read Copenhagen.
Again. I don't know, it's crazy.
No. I think that's an important childhood memory that we'll discuss at great length at another time.
And the whole chat room now is like, shut up, you dumb ugly dyke with the glasses, or something.
No one
in the chat room saying that?
No one has
Weird.
said
Sure they will.
Copenhagen, Denmark says Martin Frank. Again with the first two names. Not a fan. Just wanted to say thank you very much for a great chat show. Which one in particular? Are you speaking of one in particular? Quick question. Why isn't the episode with Rob Legato on YouTube? Yeah, J-Mac, what the fuck? Seems like that's weird that he would write that in there.
He didn't.
It seems like that would be a really good episode with lots of nerdy details. In parentheses, that was a huge compliment. Nerd equals someone who's really good at what they do. Once again, thanks and please keep going. Best regards, Martin Frank. Thanks for keeping it short, Martin. You're not buffering. Hadn't done the buffering gag in quite a long time.
It's been years. And thank God.
Because 90% are listening, not
Look,
watching.
I can't turn you into Lady Gaga if you're still going to be doing 8-year-old bits.
8-year-old bits.
Whoa!
See him on the road?
First of all, dear Monsieur Chat Show. Oh, European. Nope, just Canada. Since you have asked, more precisely requested, fans to write questions for you, here is one. Why are you snowing us, the fans, with this notion that you will ever read an email from us?
What the?
I mean, the only episode where you read an email from a fan lately was on episode 302. Thanks for the episode number. With Titus Williver. Just a couple months ago, dude. Fucking relax. It was more believable that you would dye your ass hairs blonde than show them off in your next film with Bruce Willis. To be frank, brought up his own. Typically, there is no time during the podcast to read fan emails. Are you implying that you will make time to read fan emails? Stop saying fan emails. At the start of the show, like before? If that is the case, all right, yay, yippee, yahoo. Those are all caps and lots of exclamation points. It'd be absolutely fantastic to have emails read again on the podcast. Love to hear what other fans have to say, or Larry King Game fan submissions. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to the podcast this upcoming Sunday. A KPCS YouTube subscriber from Canada, signed Dean from Winterpeg. We've read Dean from Winnipeg emails in the past.
This is why Canada shouldn't have email access. I've always said that.
It seems to me that the author of this kept like nodding off and then just starting back up. That's what it felt like.
That's why I read your email, Dean, so that we could talk about you. Lastly, a Larry King submission. You remember, folks, you can write in your own Larry King game and win a t-shirt. I know, according to Dean from Winnipeg, we don't do this very often, even though I keep asking. Send them to fan mail, kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. To win a t-shirt, Brian Lawler is going to win a t-shirt, who writes, in 1972, this is very subtle, the subtle aspect of it that makes me laugh. In 1972, I offended the dreaded Chicago mobster Sam DiStefano at a gas station. He forced me into his trunk and drove me to his house in Skokie, Illinois, where he and an associate tortured me with an ice pick for 2 days. Whenever I'm in Skokie, I never pass up a chance to eat at Kaufman's Bagel and Delicatessen. We've got some of the best bagels and lox around. Plainville, you're on the air. Now, I love that because he brings up what should have been a horrific moment in his life, but doesn't fail at an opportunity to fondly mention Kaufman's Bagel and Delicatessen.
Well,
That's fantastic. I may send Ben Lawler 2 t-shirts.
Oh.
Yeah, just because I haven't sent one in a long time. Our guest today is still awake. And that's something I don't always say about our guests. Longtime fan, first time at this table. Please welcome Michaela Watkins. Is your name often said by a baseball announcer?
Thank you.
Please be seated.
Often, yeah. I used to pay one, but then this one guy is just like wants to be my name slave, and so he just follows me around
saying
Michaela Watkins. Yeah, no, I have an interesting name that people now are starting to pronounce correctly first time out. But
yeah, because Watkins is not easy.
First of all, I have a black girl's name. I mean, 100%.
Okay.
So people are always like, "Oh, you're Michaela Watkins," and I say yes.
I have a black guy's name.
What's that?
Her full name is Jamie Foxx.
Oh,
So there you go.
That is the correct response.
yeah, you have challenges. Yeah, so
So
it's
you
like
show up
that,
in places
but
and people are.
yeah, I think people expect it. I know when I got hired on some jobs, people were like, "Oh, good, they finally hired a black girl," and then I'm like, "Hi, I'm from Syracuse." So
Was
yeah.
there a moment in life when you asked mom or dad, what the hell?
Yeah, a lot of times. But I was supposed to be a Michael.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a girl. I came out like a woman. Not like a woman. Hello.
Did you come out like a
I'm
gay woman?
here. Ready for my close-up. No,
Hello, my baby.
I came out like a woman. Who says anyone? No. So, but
That's on the one sheet now.
I
by the
came
way.
out with the lady parts,
Uh-huh.
and so then they just added an A to Michael, and now I'm Michaela. And then, people think I might be exotic, so they're like, Michaela.
Ah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll be her today. So it's fine. They called me Mickey my whole life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And when you say they, you mean like your imaginary friends?
Yeah, and some other people.
Actual people.
Actual people, my family. So,
Is there a nickname now?
no,
Nope.
no nickname now.
Would you mind by the end of the show if we had one for you?
I love that.
Okay, good.
I love a nickname. I love any kind of attention.
First and foremost, and I say more importantly, I need to know everything you care to share with us about where you've just today flown back from.
Oh, I just flew back from Salt Lake City. Well, not really. I flew back from, I guess the town is called Sundance.
Yeah.
Park City?
No.
No, the actual, where
not
the
Park
institute
City,
is.
where the Sundance Institute is a mountain that Bob Redford,
Bobby.
as you know he likes to be called,
Bob Redford.
may have bought the mountain
Yeah.
and erected like an incredible situation on it, a resort ski thing, but also the Sundance Institute, where you just deep dive. It's like independent film camp.
Yeah.
And so,
Tell us more, because that's just a brushstroke that most people have heard.
yeah,
So there's a sign-in process, there's a thing.
there's a sign-in sheet. You show up. Okay, let me take it back.
Please.
I always have I just had this joke recently with my husband that I said, if I would sometimes wish I could still do update characters on SNL, because I was lying in bed and I go, I think I have a new character. And he said, what is it? And I said, girl who tells stories going backwards. And because every time I tell a story, I always say, so I was at the Sundance. Well, actually, I've always wanted to go to, I met a guy who told me about the Sundance. Okay, first of all, when I was growing up, the only thing I ever really wanted, it's like all my stories always start at the beginning and go all the way backwards. Anyway, so it's a place where they really cultivate first-time directors, first-time screenwriters by bringing them here and then giving them everything they could possibly need to get on their feet and explore it. So they give them mentors, they give them hot directors and hot editors and hot DPs.
When you say hot,
I mean gorgeous. I mean, like, terrible at their job, but very good looking. No, but really extraordinary. Robert Elswit was just there, and he does all of, P.T. Anderson's stuff and lots of other things.
and they give you these people to.
They give these first-time directors these people so that they can get as much advice as humanly possible, but also encouraging them to figure out their own voice and find how they're going to talk to actors, how they're going to talk to their crew, how they're going to get the shots they want in a limited time, how they're going to shoot these really difficult scenes in their screenplay. Because, maybe there's they ask them to pick the hardest scenes that you think that you'll have to shoot. Not the ones you most are excited to shoot, the hardest ones.
And do you actually shoot stuff during the lab?
So you shoot stuff during the lab. I was there in the capacity as an actor. So I was there for a film called Social Justice Warrior that takes place at a university. And I'm just a really a prickly professor who's trying to get tenured. And I have this student it's like all about the PC culture, and it's just like taking it to just a ridiculous level, and
An unfortunate level.
well, you don't. I mean, it's very ironic, and you don't really know the whole film. You can't decide whose side you're on almost, because it's sometimes you're on the professor's side, sometimes you're on the student's side, sometimes you're like, she's got a really great point, but they're both so insipid and obstinate and really annoying people.
Perfect.
So, but what they're saying is sort of, and so it's a real mind. Can I swear?
Say it.
It's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck. But anyway, so he's got to find the tone of his film. He's got to do so much that when you've got all the money riding on it, there's so much at stake that you're just scared and you just accept things. This is a place to just completely no stakes, totally explore.
Right.
And you work all day long on one scene, rehearsing, and the next day you just shoot that scene all day long, and the next day they edit, and I go hiking, and then after that they do it all over again, and then they screen all the different projects, screen their scenes.
Right.
And then they do it again, and then they have a screenwriting lab where they bring in all these mentors for screenwriting, and then they can start to rewrite based on what they learned from the, both directing and from the screenwriters.
And you were there as an actor, you said.
So I was there as an actor, so I'm there as basically a guinea pig to just do whatever. And
is that a situation where you just offer yourself up to the Institute to act in other people's shorts? The first.
But it's a labor of love. I mean, you have to love it because it is so much work. I was really surprised at how much work it was. Usually at the end of a week or 10 days or however long you're there for, you either have a paycheck or a movie to show for it. This is like you work your ass off, so you better love what you do, you know? And I just think there's kind of like two kinds of actors, right? There's like the actors that are they're like dogs that you get at the ASPCA, and they're like, I just want to please you. I just want to please you. And then there's other actors who are like, I just want to please me. So I definitely fall in the former camp. So I was really excited to sort of just be of service and just do whatever they wanted, and even in the game of trying to do what they wanted, because they throw everything at you, which you would never do on a set, right? Because you've got 2 hours to shoot it.
That's
and
right.
if somebody said, now try it like this, now like this, now like this, you'd be like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Figure it out. I'll be over here.
Yeah.
But there, you just go, okay, yep, and you just roll with it, you know?
I'd never heard from an actor who spent time at the labs. It was always from a writer or a director.
Yeah, they get worked really hard. They get worked super hard.
Yeah, it seems crazy.
They're just constantly in meetings with advisors and getting so much information, and they have to parse out what they're going to use, I mean, I would think it'd be overwhelming.
The Institute itself is...
Oh my God, it's so cool,
Yeah,
though.
please tell us everything you can.
Okay, first of all, it's the most gorgeous setting ever. It's, and I know a couple people you know also who've been, Kyle Bornheimer kind of just went recently, and I can't wait to nerd out about him with it, because it's everything that he prepared me for. But this very cool thing happened, that they do screenings at night of some of the advisors' work. The first night, they showed All the President's Men in the screening room with Bob Redford, who hadn't seen it since it was released in 1976. That's the first time he saw it. I mean, I was like, I had goosebumps.
41 years, everybody.
41 years. First of all,
Yeah.
he is so attractive in corduroy. It is illegal.
We don't have to limit it to corduroy.
Flannel, corduroy and flannel.
I just want to be specific about
I understand. That's your ideal Bob
Yes.
Redford.
I was just like,
Yeah.
more corduroy, let's bring it back. Such wonderful hair he has.
Truly.
I don't mean to objectify this man, but
I think it's important that you
but
do.
I do enjoy doing it. No, he's incredible. That, like, how that movie got made is an incredible story. But the movie itself is crazy because
astonishing.
it's astonishing. Have you seen it recently?
Maybe 3 years ago.
Okay, you have to watch it now.
Okay.
Because
Because of what's going on. in
because
the
of
world.
what's going on,
Yeah.
and you could literally lift everything that the GOP is saying about the Washington Post and vice versa.
Yeah.
It is like calling it fake news, like calling the Washington Post fake news, and all the way of deflecting.
How badly we need a deep throat now.
Yeah, we sure do. We need those two guys, Rosen and the other guy.
Rosen, that's right. No, they're out there.
No, those two reporters, yeah.
We have an
Woodward
abundance
and
of
Bernstein.
Woodward.
What I love is, like, in the movie, the movie is amazing because it was the 70s, so it's not like there was email or cell phone. So he's like, first of all, looking up in a phone book at people, and then showing up at their houses, and they're like, come in, would you like some coffee? And it's just like, who's going to offer coffee to a reporter that walks in their house?
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Mind if I sit down? It's like,
Yeah.
it would never happen.
Yes.
I really shouldn't be talking to you. Could I offer you some tea?
Yeah.
But other than that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first night of screenings. The Institute itself, I've said too many times, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a perfect film, and features the most beautiful woman that ever lived in Catherine Ross. But
I mean, I'll let that go, but okay.
yeah, as will my better half, Jamie. Redford and Newman, as
Yeah.
it turns out,
Uh-huh.
were the two actors who then went on to give back. I'm gonna just say it, more than any of their peers in history.
Oh, you mean literally give back?
Yes.
Yeah. I was totally thinking that exact same thing.
Extraordinarily, almost like competitively at one point.
I know. They're like, who can be the bigger philanthropist? Or who can, it's not even that philanthropy, although a lot of that, but like, who can enrich our world?
Right.
And he's like, do you think Newman was like, when he did dressing, he was like, mic drop? He was like,
I'd like to think when Newman's own Caesar, specifically salad dressing, came out, it was mic
and he
drop
was
time.
like,
Yeah, I think popcorn.
everybody
actually.
loves salad dressing.
Come on.
And Bob was like, touche. I was going to start another school, and
Yeah, that's right. I was fortunate enough to go to the director's brunch a couple of years ago. I had this documentary there. And to hear Bob Redford speak about, Robert Redford speak about the Institute and how the film festival really just began as a way to have a place to show the films that had been made at the Institute during these labs. They needed a place to show these films, not for the public necessarily,
Isn't that crazy?
but so that these writers and directors that were in these labs could go see their movie or their short in a theater, invite the locals to get an objective point of view, and that's all it was.
it's like, I got really choked up there a couple times in a weird way, that when you know you're in sort of a sacred space, that just, last night we watched this film, Patty Cakes, which was a big hit at the festival this year, and a guy who had done the labs in 2014 made a little video for everybody at the labs, and I got so moved because you feel it. You feel like people are making really special things, and more than that, people are making special things. I mean, Robert Redford could be totally doing a million other things and not having to deal with any of this mishigas, as they say. But instead, he's so dedicated to making sure that unique voices are getting out there and telling their stories. He's so committed to making sure people are telling these stories. And I mean, we need that now really more than ever. And it's awe-inspiring. It just is,
Yeah, and you were there for how long?
I was there for a week. A day feels like a week there. I can't explain it. I don't know if it's the mountain air or the altitude, but yeah, and they feed you. And I was just eating like a horse the entire time. So every time there was a meal, I was like, and then go back to rehearsal. And it was just really, it's so mentally taxing.
And it just feels like a community, and you're seeing
really does.
the same people every day.
And they have these skeleton film crews, and there's teams. It's like camp. So there's green team and red team and blue team, and they sort of work on two different projects. And so it's green team against blue team when we wrap earlier,
Right.
They'll send a picture. But that sounds so silly, but everybody's so invested. And this isn't even the project. This is just on the way to the project. But when these guys go to make their movie, when you see what gets developed at Sundance Lab and what ends up going to the festivals and everything, it's not a mistake. I mean, they learned so much.
Yeah.
What a gift they get. It's crazy.
And am I crazy in remembering that it's free?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
In every way. I mean, people are donating their time, and yeah.
Yeah, I know you were there for free, but I mean the screenwriters and directors who...
Free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absurd and unacceptable, quite frankly.
Do you want to write a letter?
Yep.
Okay.
Doing it now.
Should we
take a moment?
Should we take a moment to really
to
think about what should be in
If you could just hum or something.
Do.
There you go.
We watched Punch Drunk Love too the other. Have you seen that lately?
No, not in a very, very long time. In fact, I would like to see it now that all the expectations are gone.
Right.
Because at the time, I think they overwhelmed me.
Yeah. So the DP Robert Elswit who did that was there, and so he talked about it afterwards. And it's just, when you watch a movie just from that alone and not thinking about story or character,
right?
I realized how much I don't know anything.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm around film stuff all the time. I thought I was absorbing a lot.
Well, the best films, if you're around the business too much, most movie and TV is ruined by the fact that we know too much and the man behind the curtain. So the best of them will absorb us into this world, and we stop thinking about how pretty that shot is.
Yeah.
It never crosses our mind. And then we're 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it seems like the best work. In fact, continuing the Jim Brooks name dropping, he occasionally plays in my poker game, which we're going to talk about in a moment. I found out yesterday you were a fan of poker. And we're all talking about Fargo, this new season. And he was talking about the cinematography on the show. He said it was like a clinic. He said it's some of the most stellar cinematography he's ever seen in his life. And it's always fascinating to me that...
Do you know who does that? Who died?
I don't. We should look that up immediately. Luke Allen, get on that. Cinematographer for Fargo.
To the encyclopedia.
Season 3. While he's doing that.
All the President's Men, they were like looking in these Britannicas. It was amazing.
Yeah. That's right. Research. Microfiche. Was even Microfiche around?
Microfiche was totally around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me yesterday, in fact, rather casually, that you enjoy poker. What was your introduction to the world?
I moved to Portland, Oregon when I was 22, maybe.
That's in your dossier as one of the things I wanted to discuss.
Oh, okay. Well, there's not much to say about it except that poker, like video poker and all that, is legal there. And so I was just
Like in grocery stores?
Yeah, it's everywhere. Like you're waiting for a sandwich. You're like, let's see if I can make this 10 a 20. Nope. So there's a lot of.
I love that your expectation and plan was just to double your $10.
Well, it happens, you know.
Yes, it does.
I was a bartender and I worked in music clubs, so they had them, you know, next to the pool tables or wherever. They would have them lined up. They're everywhere. I mean, they really are. You can't swing a cat without hitting ways to crater your life.
Why were we swinging a cat?
Because it was looking at me weird.
So while you were there, you learned to play poker on machines.
Well, I started to play on machines, and then I got really. There's also a lot of Indian reservations, so I think I went with some friends to. You know, I was playing blackjack or something, but I was really drawn to the poker tables. And I learned to play. I was at this really shady one time. And I was sitting at this table where they were playing Texas Hold'em. And right away I understood the game, but I pretended that I didn't. And I was faking everybody else out. And I'm sure it was very annoying, but I was just sort of like, I don't know. And I realized that acting and poker playing are very kindred spirits, because I could
Well, bluffing is all about acting.
Yeah.
And most 75% conservatively, you have to bluff in order to play because you don't have good cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a puss. Now I'm just like, I don't have good cards. Anyway, back to me telling you about this guy at the supermarket. That's how we play now. I fold. Anyway. But then I was really into the game of, I knew that I was really convincing people that I didn't really know what I had or how to play. And so I kept hitting on the river, which was really also pissing people off. And
everyone loves a suck out.
Yeah, they love that. But I just really loved that game of it. And I love the immediate gratification. And I love not, because it's like, I don't want to double my money. I want the opportunity to like become filthy, stinking rich. Like I could double if I'll go to blackjack, But
Sure.
But if I want an opportunity to like really cash out, you got to play real poker. So.
And did you enjoy the art of fooling people? The aspect of the game?
At that time, I did. At that time, to that degree, I really did. Especially because I think that because I was a 24-year-old chick, I think that, and it's mostly, guys, I think that the expectation was not high for me.
Right.
So there was a lot of like joy in that.
Yeah.
Pulling one over. But then it's like, and then it's an expensive habit.
Sure. Depending on the level you're playing, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to take it down. But I turned real fast. Like it would get me. I could feel my heart quicken, and I would just be like, So I knew it was a dangerous.
As an adrenaline rush and addictive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like this sort of OCD thing would kick in.
And when you started playing somewhat regularly, what sort of what were the blinds? What was the sort of buy-in?
I mean, I don't remember. Not too much,
Well, it's all relative. So $20, $50, $100, $200.
I mean, I would say I think I was broke, so I think I was the 10, 20 table. Yeah, 5, 10, 20 table.
Sure.
Yeah, I've never played like high stakes poker. I love poker chips. I love them.
Do you like to shuffle them?
Yes, I like to shuffle them. I like to stack them. I really
You're
like.
not wrong.
If it was Valentine's Day, somebody should make love to me in a bed of poker chips.
So that you can feel them?
I just want to feel them.
Only on Valentine's.
But
Only on Valentine's, yeah.
Otherwise,
Don't try to have sex with me in a bed of poker chips
Ever.
like in July.
you get one day a year.
Yeah, I play a weekly game, and sometimes when I look forward to it, what I'm looking forward to, I envision myself shuffling the chips.
Yeah.
And when I watch poker on TV, which has become a little too obsessively. Yep. Well, now there's Poker Go app, and it's during the World Series of Poker. Almost every single event is streaming, and
I might go so far as to say if you've watched more poker on television the past year than I've watched hours of Simpsons my entire life.
that's not possible.
Wow.
I
I understand your point, and you need to exaggerate to make it, but that's not possible.
I don't know.
No. So the shuffling. of
So the
chips.
shuffling, I love
Yes.
it. I love the different colors. Like when there's that black chip, and you're just like, oh, I want to eat them. I want to chew on them.
Wow.
I love them.
So has someone gifted you a
Poker chips?
a set of chips?
Yeah, vintage chips.
Vintage. Are they clay or were they pre-clay?
I don't know. I didn't ask the box of chips. I didn't ask them. I don't know, but I don't use them very often because
They're vintage.
they're limited. You can't really get a big game going with them. So
Right.
but they're pretty.
So now you're playing a monthly game.
I do.
Yeah.
We try to be monthly. Yeah. It's the same people. It's been years, and one time somebody tried to bring a significant other, and it just sucked. We said no. Husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, no.
Ever. Yeah. You mean to play?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happened very often at my game, unless it's a husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend who both play avidly, independently of each other.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Even then. Yeah. It's just a real.
They'll go soft on each other if they're in a hand against each other.
No, it changes the vibe of the room. I love the social interaction of it, and there's something that's so like laid bare and naked, and we get vulnerable. We go deep. We talk about some deep shit at poker.
I'm gonna need one
And
tiny.
it's the best. It's the best because then you're like, oh God. Are you big blind?
Yes, it's true, right in the middle. That's one of my favorite things too, is someone's telling a story. So then I said, where else are we going to put the body? You can't put it in the trunk, it's 5 to you. You want to? Yes, that is fantastic. At what point, or that's a very strong power move I've noticed. When someone's telling a story and they raised in the middle of the story.
Yes.
So anyways, I said, no, I brought my own bags. I'm not going to spend 5 cents for a bag at Ralph's. That's ridiculous. Another 30. I don't believe that we need to have plastic.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like how they scooch healthcare into the thing.
That's right.
It's like they're like in the middle of a sentence or like that. But no, I think it's like now that I don't smoke anywhere in these rooms. Like I think it's like the punchline now too, where you're like, so I, was like, wait, what did you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, if you have like a really great hand, but you don't want anyone to know you have a really great hand, I always pretend that I've checked. Well, now everybody knows. But sometimes I pretend I check out of the game. Like I'm like, what, really?
Yeah.
And then somebody's like, it's to you, and I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, it's a great study of human behavior,
Yeah.
first of all. One of the things I love about the game. But a lot of books have been written on this weird fact, that it is an instinct for most players to do what you've just described involuntarily if they have to portray the opposite of what is the fact, right? Which is why whenever a player, no matter what emotion that they're playing, the assumption by a more seasoned player will be the opposite is true. So when they look scattered or disinterested, they're sitting on a monster. Yeah.
Well, that explains why I lose a lot.
That's why you got to mix it up. You got to mix it up. You got to mix it up. But it's weird, fascinating game.
It is. One guy at our game, our friend Kevin, he read a book about tells, and so I said, just for tonight, let's just
point out everyone's tell.
Let's just tell us what you read. Like, let's get an even playing field and tell us everything you read. And everybody forgot what he said, but I remembered the whole night, and it was the best night of my, it
Was he
about
pointing
eye
out-
contact. He at the beginning of the game, he said, well, this about eye contact, and if somebody is like super focused on the game, they probably, I can't remember now if they had a good hand or a bad hand.
Usually a good hand.
Yeah. And after he announced it, everybody promptly forgot that's what we were doing.
Sure.
And I was just watching everybody, and I was like, God damn, this thing is right. Like,
Yeah.
this book is right. I got to read this book.
Well, detectives have been using tells in terms of doing an interrogation forever. People, I think, look up to the right when they're lying.
Really?
Yeah. Those kinds of things are very, very real.
Oh my God.
And they're involuntary.
That's
You
really
can't
cool.
stop them from happening unless you try really, really hard.
And I think that they tend to fall asleep if they're guilty. Like if they leave them kind of waiting around, and if they fall asleep.
Lock up 5 people, the one who's sleeping in the morning and did the crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once they got you, they got you.
Yeah.
And everybody
other
else is
ones are
awake
gonna be
thinking,
like,
I didn't do this.
do this.
Yeah.
But I think there are situations where people are like
Oh, sure.
so overwhelmed they shut down. But
That's all the time we have.
That is.
That's so weird. Life as a youngin' in DeWitt. You mentioned Syracuse, but it was actually a suburb.
Yeah. Right.
DeWitt.
Wow. Nobody ever really wanted me to break down DeWitt for them before.
I need to, because we're fascinated with Anytown, USA.
Oh, you are?
Was there a sense of Anytown, USA?
Very much
Yeah.
so. When I lived there, my mom is like, you gotta cool your jets when you talk about Syracuse, because you're really cruddy and you're not going to be invited back here. But what my mom forgets is that when I was growing up, our mayor was in jail. Like, it was a very...
He conducted business from jail?
He was embezzling a lot of money, and it was already a very depressed town. Like, all the plants had closed, and it was like it was a bad economy in the 70s, and it was just really
And
it's
corrupt.
also very corrupt, and it was also cold as hell, and it still is, but maybe less so than 30 years ago. But it just was gray and cold and cloudy and depressing and awful.
And your
awful
mom
when I
wishes
was
you would
growing up.
stop saying that.
Yeah. I mean, now I go back, and I'm aware that it's actually quite pretty once you leave Syracuse. If you go into the countryside, it's gorgeous.
Right.
I mean, it's like, I can't believe I missed that.
Was DeWitt that bucolic setting?
DeWitt wasn't, no.
No.
But you drive, 20 miles outside of town.
A little further.
And it's just rolling hills and farms, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so pretty. And sad.
And sad.
Yeah. Lonely.
Well, before we...
It's a lonely place.
One of the things I noted also after the poker thing was you took up drums in your mid-30s.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
I had a full-on...
You waited until 35, 36 and
Yeah.
thought, you know what, I'm going to start playing drums.
Yes, and I encourage everybody to do it. I had one of those fandangly, like, midlife crises-y things. You know what I mean?
When you were 35?
Yeah.
Because you only expect to live to 70?
But I kind of dropped a little bit of a bomb in my life,
Sure.
and just
Happens.
sort of like blew it all apart. And I don't know. I think women, especially women in their 30s, maybe guys in their 20s or something, maybe in their 40s, but I think women in their 30s, I see it a lot, kind of just go, I was on this track and I'm doing my life, and then all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And then
Jamie
does
went
this
right
sound
to her
familiar,
phone.
Jamie, am I ringing bells? Do you know?
Mid-30s, blowing up her life.
What happened? I'm sorry. Nicola's bugging me about the hockey game. I know I should have ignored.
She's getting hot tips right off the text.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
She started
I'm
playing
so
drums
sorry.
in her mid-30s.
mid-30s, 'cause
Out
I
of the
was
blue. And
having
part of that was
crisis.
just blowing up your life.
Yeah, and I was sitting, like, I was very unhappy, and I cried a lot, as you do. And, to get married, not to get married, to have kids, not to, all the big questions that you feel like you have to, career, is it, all that stuff.
That ticking clock
Yeah, and it just...
for women.
I don't
Wildly
know.
unfair.
Yeah, wildly unfair.
Yeah.
We could just fill hours with that.
But also, there's a biological thing that's considerably different for women simply because of who does the birthing
Right.
physically.
Yeah.
And
And you made the decision, the ultimate Planned Parenthood.
I made that decision.
Yeah.
I made the decision to parenthood.
To not have children.
Oh, to not have children. Yeah. Ultimately, yeah. I mean, a few zigs and a few zags, but ultimately, I made the decision that I like dogs. I always have.
Yeah.
More than people. I do. I walk into people's houses and I'm like, and they have like a baby, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Come here, come here, little doggy. And but the kids, I'm always like, can we put him in a bathroom, lock him up for a little while until I leave? They're kind of jumping up on me. The way people are with dogs, I am.
The kids kind of jumping up on me.
Yeah. Ooh, they're shedding. No, but I like kids now. I used to be very disinterested in kids. But yeah, so drums. I was at all things like a Flaming Lips concert, and I like the Flaming Lips, but I'm not, it's not like I go and see all their shows all the time. And I was watching them, and something just hit me in the middle of the show where I was like, I have always wanted to play the drums, always. But I played the piano, and I played the flute, and I played guitar, but I never played the drums. Always wanted to. And I just said, I'm gonna learn. And I went to Silver Lake Conservatory, where it was like me and 12 8-year-olds sitting in the lobby, and they were holding clarinets and stuff, and they all went to their, and I went to mine, and at first it was like really remedial, and the truth was, I was like, I'm not gonna be a big rock star. Can we just bang on some skins? Can you just teach me how to do that? And he's like, oh, okay, let's do it. And I bought a kit, and then I just rocked out.
And you've maintained this as
a hobby. I tried to start a band for a hot second.
Sure.
Tig Notaro was in it. Ugh.
What does that mean?
She plays nothing. She plays no instruments, but insisted on playing all the instruments.
Oh, no.
It was really funny. But we had 3 songs.
As a musician, she's hilarious?
As a musician, she's hilarious and quite untalented. But it was really, really funny and really fun. And it helped me over that hump, that like sort of sad time.
There's something zen about being alone and whacking away at the skins.
Oh, yeah. Do you play the drums?
No, but I'm just having this flashback memory. First of all, a friend, comedian Bill Burr, enjoys this part of his life, that he'll do nothing with it other than his own personal enjoyment.
Right.
But I remember getting stoned in the 70s was a thing that took time. Whereas now it's 1 or 2 hits, and
and then you start your day.
your leg gets up and leaves the room. But back then you had to smoke like 8 or 9 joints just to get high.
Right.
So you would gather, and it was took time.
Yeah,
it took time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you would go to a place and gather and take time to smoke 8 or 9, 10 joints.
Right.
And there was this guy who would just put on headphones and drum, and oblivious to the fact that the rest of us are sitting there. And he went to another place in his mind, and it seemed like Nirvana.
Yeah.
Is the place he went to.
I would do that cleaning my house.
Right.
I would just be like, I should clean my house all the time.
When you were stoned,
When
you mean?
you're stoned, yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. On cocaine, you talk about doing everything and do nothing. And on pot, you actually think you could do something.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to start a business where we clean houses. Oh, we're going to be amazing.
That's right. Yeah. I am convinced, even though Jamie absolutely created Netflix before Netflix was a thing, there must have been 32 people.
Technology wasn't there yet.
That's right. There must have been at least 3,200 people who created something and then while on coke in their minds and did nothing about it.
As a bartender,
I wasn't on coke. I just was like 13 and couldn't drive anywhere, and I was like, how
do I get video?
How do I get movies to watch?
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish there was a way you could like mail order them. But and then it wasn't there yet.
And it was always DVDs, right?
No, this was VHS. This
Netflix,
is whenever.
though.
Oh yes, Netflix.
Netflix
yeah.
started,
Yeah,
it
that
was-
was the thing.
A guy
Like,
trying to
I
shove
thought of this
a
back in
VHS tape in your mailbox.
Right. It wasn't there yet. It wasn't there. But it was. Weren't even more. Because this is my best friend Jackie and I. We were trying to figure this out, and we were more concerned about how do you. You would have to have like a catalog of like the movies that you would choose from
Like
at
singing
the time.
a karaoke song.
Yeah,
like that.
you couldn't even. There was no when we were thinking of this, there was no internet, so it wasn't. We thought of it, but before it was basically a store that delivered is what we were trying to create.
And you also
And it was out of necessity. It was out of like, no one will drive us to the video store.
Sure.
We're bored.
Mother of invention.
How do we get movies?
Yeah, and as it turns out, it seems like every other startup is about
Now
home delivery.
Not only that now, but it's like everything's on demand. But even if that wasn't a thing, we could Uber to the video store if there was still a video store, to the Red Box or whatever, like
Or to a movie.
or to a movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
at 35,
Yes.
you do sound 104
Yeah, well,
in terms of how much things have changed
But it's
since
crazy.
you were 13.
little kids
you're
today,
right.
they don't know how good they have it.
That's
They
right.
don't.
This is what I had to watch the Police Academy movies on repeat because that's all that there was.
I did. I asked one of the advisors, Peter Solet, who's a director. He did Nick and Nora's Playlist and all that. And he teaches at USC. And I said, are the kids, are they going to save us? Are they the future? And he went, no. And I said, why? He goes, because they don't know how to, they've never had to go to a payphone, call somebody, and sit in a place and wait for them for 10 minutes with the wonder of not knowing if they're going to show up or not. Like the whole thing of like, I'm on my way, I'm almost there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like with the texting and everything, Uber, like everything is just so available.
Yeah.
There's not that,
I think I
there's not
mentioned
that space in between things where you get innovative about.
innovative is the word.
That's not what he said, by
No,
the
but
way. That's my assessment from what he said. In fact, he might have misunderstood me, but and maybe he thinks they are going to save us.
He was talking about birds.
But I decided that he said they aren't. And that's how
I don't know if I said it here or I said it to you, Jamie, but it recently dawned on me in terms of being creative, innovative, and also just how do you get in contact. When my friends and I were 17, and we would on a Saturday night, how did we ever meet up?
I don't know.
Anywhere.
It's amazing we all didn't just
they were like
wander around the woods and then like
Literally
join
the woods. Like I'm from Western Pennsylvania. Like
Yeah.
we would meet up in the woods.
You would
Like, how
meet up
did
in the
we
woods.
know? How did we know?
And how did you have enough alcohol for everybody?
How did we get the keg out there?
Because you didn't even know how many were coming,
That's
and
right.
yet it worked itself out.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we weren't just like, raised by a pack of wolves as we got lost.
Well, we were
trying
that
to find
pack of
somebody.
wolves, right? We were
Yeah.
raising ourselves.
We were, yeah.
But even because guys couldn't be on the phone for more than 30 seconds before it started feeling weird.
I know.
So you couldn't make a plan per se,
talking
unless
to
there
a
was
boy.
a party, which rarely happened. But you didn't have to be in a small town to pull into a gas station and see someone you know, and they would say, "Are you going to the Thompsons party? What are you talking about?"
Right.
Party at the Moon Tower, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Party at the Moon Tower.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so funny you say the guy can't be on the phone. My nephew, he came to live with us for a little while, and now he's like in his 20s, but I just remember saying, like, I don't think any woman should be allowed to like a boy or date a boy until they've had a nephew who's like at least 16. Because when I see what's happening in his head at that time, when I'm like, Trev, what do you want, spaghetti? I don't know. Like, would you rather have steak? It's like nothing is happening. And the amount of time that I spent of my formative years being like, well, he said hi to me, but he was like, hi. Do you think he's like, hey, or do you think he was like, hey? I mean, do you think he's like, should I call him because he was like, hey? And my friend would then, pile on and be like, oh, I think he was like, hey, how come you didn't call me? Like, I talked to my nephew and I'm like, he's thinking nothing. He's thinking pizza.
Guess what?
And he's
It doesn't
thinking
change.
maybe a boob.
They
Maybe a
could be
boob.
17 or 70. It doesn't change. It doesn't
It
change.
changes a little.
I don't know. I can't get his attention 99.9% of the time.
Well, that's because You have ADHD. I don't know. Do you have ADHD? Tell me about
No,
you. What are your problems?
My problems are I will transfix on whatever it is that has my attention.
You hyperfocus.
Yeah, and Jamie doesn't like to participate in this aspect, which is, how about get my attention? Don't just start talking.
Oh, I see. So you just think that what you're going to say is automatically going to pull the.
No, I just think it's when you're in a couple and you're around each other all the time, you know, you'll just be, you'll want to share something and you'll just blurt it out and start talking about it without first saying, hey, can you stop whatever you're doing and have somebody, you know, when you're in a couple, that's too formal.
Right.
You would never get
true.
someone's attention.
It's true.
So it isn't just Jamie, I think it's everyone, but
Yeah.
I'm going to defend myself by saying a lot of the times you just need to get my attention.
Right.
And this would work.
Yeah. All right. I feel like we
All right,
learned a
I'll
lot
start
today.
It's time for famous questions.
Whee!
Sammy, can I get you something?
Dana Gonzalez is the name of the DP on Fargo.
Thank you so much. All
know.
of them or just the season?
And is Dana a man or a woman?
Dana is a man, and I believe it is all of them.
Dana?
Second and third.
Second and third, what?
Seasons.
Second and third season.
Feel free to say all the words, Brad, that you're thinking. Second and third. Great. Bass?
Are we having fun?
Yep.
Okay, good.
It's time for famous questions. These are questions
I have another
written
question.
to you
To me?
by famous people,
Oh my God.
famous coworkers
Wow.
and friends.
Really?
Yep. Sometimes I'll tell you who the person is, sometimes it'll be a guessing game.
Okay.
This first, I'm going to just tell you
My publicist.
your boss, Jason Reitman, former guest of the show, and someone who's played at the poker game. When I asked him, I said there's a new part of a segment on the show called Famous Questions. I explained what it was. He said, love this, and I love that woman.
Oh.
She's the most generous comedian I've ever met.
What?
He's met a lot.
Oh.
Humor, talent, generosity, and by the way, he didn't know I was going to read this to you.
Oh, jeez.
Are almost never found in the same person, never in such volume as Michaela Watkins. That was just him telling me what he thought.
Well, I'm dead.
That I was embarrassing you to tell you. And now your question. She moves so effortlessly between camps of comedy, actors, writers, troops, directors. She seems to find her place within each comedic world with ease. What was the most intimidating comedic relationship she's engaged in?
He is so good at zinging in on the question that
Yeah.
I get so flustered around him because he asks such fun questions, but I want to be like, can you give me a week?
Yeah.
And then I'll get back to you on that. He's so great. You know him. You play with him.
yes.
Isn't he just like, he's a fascinating guy.
We love our baby Reitman.
Yeah. He's so soulful. It always surprises me. But it doesn't surprise me. It's just always nice. But anyway, what is the most intimidating comedic interaction?
He's saying it seems so easy for you to move between the actors and the writers and every aspect of comedy and the doing of it. So what has been an intimidating comedic relationship?
I get intimidated by stand-ups a lot because, well, not all the time, just
Certain ones?
certain ones, yeah.
Because they're particularly good?
I think because they're so immersed in the comedy world that I think stand-up comedians have a depth of soul that sort of plunders more deeply than a lot of comedians who use comedy to charm or to release
favor.
the valve or win favor or just to genuinely just enjoy themselves and have fun.
Right.
It seems more of a blood sport, stand-up comedy does.
Sure.
And so some of the, quickest, deadly quickest people I've met are probably stand-ups. And
Therefore intimidating?
it's not that it's intimidating, it's that it's like I get emotionally exhausted more quickly because I think I'm very sensitive and I pick up on it and I get self-conscious.
Oh.
So because I find stand-up a little harder to navigate because I feel like it's that kind of thing of like, you have fun, and then it's like the hand gets slapped kind of thing. You know,
Yes.
it's like sort of, it can turn
Yes,
on a
it
dime.
can.
It's more unpredictable. I find stand-up's a little more unpredictable. You know, it's like, nice kitty. So, and most people I think are easier to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. Not that all roads lead back to me, but the documentary I directed that I was mentioning at Sundance is called Misery Loves Comedy, and it's basically a talking heads documentary. All annoyingly famous, funny people dissecting that world.
Oh, interesting.
Mostly stand-up.
I've never said this out loud before. I've never said that. I would say the only other thing that I sort of, did he say intimidating? Is that what was the question?
That's the word he used.
Yeah, I'm getting less intimidated. I think, like I was joking before when I said actors are like, you know, rescue dogs, where you're just like me.
Sure.
Or don't.
Yeah.
But can I have a bowl of water? I'm starting to feel more and more, like I get very upset when I read a broad comedy script and let's just say there's like 5 hilarious guy parts and like 3 parts for women, you know?
Yeah.
And the main part for the woman is like 22% as funny as the 5 guy funny parts.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel now like, if you wrote that script, and let's just say you reverse the parts, and that main female part that I said is like 20% as funny, if you were embarrassed or would feel coy about asking Zach Galifianakis to play it, then go rewrite it.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't write it very well. And I'm starting to feel more and more like that paradigm I thought it had shifted, and I'm realizing that it hasn't totally.
Well, it seems like it's all or nothing still. When they do a lot of funny women in a movie, then they're all in. Bad moms, what have you.
Yeah.
It's the supporting roles, male or female,
That they drop off.
that I agree.
Yeah. But these aren't supporting roles. These are like part of the ensemble, you
Right.
know? And it's just like, get them up there.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think I was always doing the thing where I was like, just give me a shot, just give me the part, and then I'll make hay out of it. I'll make something out of it. Don't worry, I'll do that for you. And I'm starting to feel a little more like, you got, you know, like, try to meet halfway, you know, try, right?
Yeah, give me something to work with.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first thing about your work that I was drawn to, which is, here's a funny performer who is making hay out of whatever she was given. That sort of eye-catching scene stealing, if you will, it comes from originality and creativity more so than, hey, look at me, hey, look at me, hey, look at me. It's the big wacky turns that never interest me. It's the more nuanced. Like the great late Phil Hartman could be 6th lead in a sketch and be the most interesting person to watch.
I think it's interesting because he's a groundling too,
Yeah.
and one of the things that groundlings really rewards and cultivates is specificity and character. And a character is not interesting to me to play in any way, shape, or form if I don't feel like it's a real person, you know. And so the game to me was always like, how do I make this a real person?
Right.
And it wasn't about look at me, look at me. It's I don't know how to say this if I can't embody a whole person, you know.
Yeah.
So,
These words have to feel real coming out of me.
right.
I don't know how else to act. Ever.
Yeah. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, I have no formal training. I just, whatever I learned while I was working, just kept learning more and more and more and more and more and more. And that education just keeps going towards, do you believe what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Right.
And listen.
And if somebody no matter how wacky you are, if somebody ran into you at 7-Eleven, they might film you and put it on YouTube,
That's
but
right.
they wouldn't think you were doing a bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Should
know.
I tell you who this is? I'm just.
No, let's play a game.
yeah.
Games.
This I
Let's
won't tell
bet
you.
on it.
I won't tell
Let's
you.
bet.
Okay.
Let's wager.
$5. No, you couldn't possibly get this one.
Okay. Okay.
What has your Christmas
John
tradition
Goodman.
been? You got it. No, you didn't. What has your Christmas tradition been the last few years? You can answer it or guess who asked that.
What has my Christmas tradition been the past few
Was it
years?
Jesus?
The last few years. Turns out it was Jesus. You're not allowed to play.
Venture to I'm sorry.
The next question of this person will give it away.
Oh God. I don't know if do I have one?
A Christmas tradition the last few years? It's not. This person sounds like they're suggesting there's been a new tradition that has begun over the last couple of years.
I don't even remember what I did this morning.
Were you raised with any particular religion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Hebrew.
I was raised of the Jewish.
But we're so reformed. We had a Christmas tree when I was 5.
Oh, I know what I've been doing for the last 2 Christmases. The last 2, and it's starting to be. I have lobster rolls at Rob Cordry's house. Is that it?
Yep.
It's so fun, and then we do Yankee Swap or whatever it's called, where we battle over presents. It's so fun, and I get very drunk.
Do you? Alrighty.
Yes.
And the follow-up question: who is the more dynamic Cordry and why?
Their daughter, who's taking up bass right now and guitar. She's, I mean, they're both. They have. His wife Sandy is the best.
He said, P.S. The answer is Sandy.
Yeah, she is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I fall a tiny bit more head over heels in love with her every time I see her, if it's even possible. But their child rearing, and I'm sorry, Rob, but particularly Sandy's, is they have 2 of the most incredible daughters. They just blow my mind. But one particularly is becoming a musician, and she is just a badass. She's like a punk rocker, and she's amazing.
Holy crap.
She's amazing, yeah. They're both amazing. I mean, they're both extraordinary.
And the thing that he and his wife still can't stop laughing at when they think about it. What were some of the names you pitched for Lake Bell's first child? He doesn't remember laughing this hard ever. You were pitching some names.
I think I was pitching
for Lake
some
Bell's
terrible
first
names.
child. Like?
I was very earnestly pitching like very bad names.
Just give me one, if you can remember.
I think it's like it could be like Jimothy. I thought no, I don't. Oh, I know what it was. It's Marnold.
Marnold. Fantastic. You're going for a little mashup.
Yeah. Marnold. I just always thought if somebody ever introduced themselves as Jimothy, I'd be so angry. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you who wrote this next one, but I will. This is how they wrote the question. I see you've worked with Ken Marino a number of times.
Oh, God. Ken Marino wrote
He
this.
wanted me to ask you, Ken Marino, how does he do it? Is he as wonderful as he seems? He said to say, please take your time. Don't rush your answer. Don't let Kevin bully you into thinking there's not enough time to go in depth with these questions. This is too important.
You know what? Have you ever been directed by Ken Marino?
I've directed him.
You have?
No, I have not directed Ken, but I've had a crazy man crush on him from the first time he.
You saw him in a bathing suit?
Well, before that.
Oh.
I think he was fully clothed. Yeah, he's crazy, nutty, talented, funny, ridiculous.
He is
in every way.
He is so talented and just a sweetie, just a sweetie, and also married another amazing woman, Erica. These guys are really killing it with their significant others.
With the comedy.
And with the comedy and their significant others. But he is, but his kids are terrible. No, I'm kidding.
Nobody's perfect.
I'm kidding. No, they're wonderful. But he's another guy that fires on all cylinders.
Not fair.
He's such a great director, and I've worked with him a couple times on that, and I will do anything ever he wants to do. But
yeah, what was the Fake Bachelor show? Were you on that?
I wasn't on that, but he directed. I was on a show called Trophy Wife that he directed that, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And then just briefly on Latin Lover, a recent film, and he did a great job on that. But he's just so funny. I I mean, we did a film together called Wanderlust where
Yes.
we played like these really horrific people who were married to each other, like suburban, really gross
Yeah,
suburban.
he was the brother to
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. That's
Yeah.
right. When they come to your house,
Yeah.
yeah, you're a horrific character.
Horrific.
Yeah.
And he's worse.
Yes,
And
they're both terrible
and our
people.
kid was such an asshole. Like
Yeah.
it was so much fun
Right.
to be these suburban troglodytes. But anyway, so I don't know what to say. He makes me laugh like harder than anybody. I can't handle it. But he's so committed.
Yeah.
And so it would just be so fun to just play at these really awful people together. It was almost like, you know, it's like, it sounds so indulgent, but it's just to be able to like just be them for a while. It's just be
Yeah.
like, oh, we can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it comes off fairly effortless. And as Jamie will point out,
Thank you.
if you're ever at Disney World,
Oh yes, at Disney World, at the Disney Hollywood Studios. He and Ileana Douglas are in the pre-show for the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster. But he's like, this came out in like the mid '90s, so he's like a baby in the pre-show, and it's amazing because he's so overacting and mugging it to the camera. I actually tried to take a video of it last time to send to Kevin, but then I got yelled at by the cast member, like, oh, don't take a video.
yeah,
But I got a little bit of it.
yeah,
But
he's like an engineer at the board.
He's an engineer, like at the
You
board,
should
but
have
he's
just
just
said,
over.
excuse me, I know Ken Marino.
That's right.
We're really close.
He asked me to do
I'm
this.
sure it's fine.
And the guy and the cast member that yelled at me looked like chubby J.J. Abrams.
Oh wow, chubby
looks
JJ.
like
And lastly,
Lastly.
from the aforementioned Kyle Bornheimer, who we love dearly,
we do.
he's unfairly talented. How would Diane Ladd tell Richard Kind she just met LL Cool J, Richard Kind to be played by Kevin Pollak? So I'm guessing you
Yay.
do a Diane Ladd.
Well, I told him a tale that was told to me by Laura Dern about
Wherein her mother, Diane Ladd,
imitating her mother
tells a story when she met
when she met.
LL Cool J.
Well, that's the punchline, but okay. That she was at a party when she was 19 years old. I hope, forgive me, Laura, if I'm telling this wrong. She was at a party when she was 19 years old, and she was there. She'd just done You Got Me Hotter Than Georgia Asphalt. What was that movie? Nicolas Cage.
Oh yes, right.
Wilder Heart?
Wilder Heart. Wilder
Yeah,
Heart.
like really young. And she was at some Hollywood party, and her mom was there because she's a
Very famous
She's
actress.
a famous, and
She's a famous.
and so this other daughter of another famous was there, and they were talking, and she said, "Don't you feel weird having your mom here at this party?" And she's like, "No, actually, it's fine." And as if on cue, Diane, I guess, walks up to Laura and goes, "Laura, I just met the most wonderful man I've ever met in my entire life, and you have to meet him. You're going to love him. His name is L. Cool J."
Can I just say I don't believe that story ever happened? That's what Richard Kind would say.
I do. I love your impression. Kyle also a great Richard Kind.
Cool J, wow.
Yeah. Oh, God, it makes me laugh.
Yeah. Do you have any wonderful, embarrassing moments from parents coming near show business like that? I've told
my
the one where
mom?
my dad, I introduced my dad to George Lucas, and he said I really loved E.T.
That's something I would do, though, unfortunately.
Well, that's how I would do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? What
Did
else
any
do
of your parents
do?
come to a premiere of something or anything where you actually had show business and your parents come together?
I try to never, the two shall never intertwine.
It's not
for
recommended.
me. Yeah, they're on the other side of the country, which is great. I mean, I get the like, Mickey, you have to come home. They're shooting a movie. Go over there and tell them you're here. And my mom lives in Boston now, and so she's like, down the street, you have to go. Go. They're shooting it. Like, go. Hello.
So-
I'm here for the movie. Don't worry, I am a professional.
Yeah.
I live in Los Angeles,
Is that
where
what-
we make film and we tell stories through moving pictures.
This is
I will act this part. I don't know.
this is how your mother sees
she
things
thinks
going.
That's what I. That's
you would
what
just
I do.
stop by.
That I
Hey, what are you guys shooting?
Hey guys, cool. all right, I'll just wait till somebody hands me a script. I don't know what she thinks is going to happen, but she's relentless. She's just like, go, just go.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think if
It's fun to get advice from family who know.
My mom loves to give advice about the business, by the way.
It's great coming from someone who knows nothing.
She called me from college and said, do you know about the casting couch? And I was like, I don't. And she said, it's for men now. Men put men on the casting couch. Like that, she's like breaking news that like it's not just women on the casting couch, it's men too. So be careful out there.
Warn your male friends.
I don't know. I think she's just like, listen to me. I got my finger on the. Oh, the other thing is she saw Masterclass one time, and so she keeps calling me and telling me I have to have a look. You gotta have a look.
Fantastic.
I don't have a look.
Sammy's own Harris and Lynn,
That's right.
parents.
Watch it right now.
They must have given you some stellar advice at some point.
They were pretty good about it, but the mistake that they will make is I'll tell them I have an audition coming up, and then I will specifically say, and it's just with casting on tape. And they'll say, okay, great. And then after all, they'll say, how did that audition go? What did you hear? Did you get it?
That's a fun one.
Like I literally, the people in the room thought I did great, but it's not their call. And you know that.
My dad
This has been 20 years.
My dad's very similar where I tell him, I had an audition or something like that. And he's like, and where can we see it? I'm like,
That's the problem I now have with podcasts. They're spoiled
Yes.
by this one because they can watch this podcast live as we shoot it.
Yeah.
So I tell my mother I'm doing any other podcast. Oh, where can I watch it?
Yeah.
Nope, you can't watch it. It'll be weeks.
I hate
don't
when
know.
parents say, I tried to watch your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, everything about that statement, I'm just like, we're not talking about my business anymore.
Yeah. You have, and families acknowledging when something is real show business. I find
you're
that.
not. According to my family, you're not a real show business unless you're on television or in the movie theater.
major
Other
motion
than that, no.
Not
You're
even
show
independent
business.
film. That's not real show business.
No, independent film. That's for crazy liberals. Why would that? Only liberals watch independent films.
Crazy liberals. It's a little redundant.
I do love, though, when my mom is like, I wish she would do or be on something that I could show my friends.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't until I was on an episode of CSI that her family acknowledged that I was in the show business.
I don't know what my mom wants me to be on I Love Lucy, I think. I don't know what she shows her friends.
Well, it's weird because my mom will ask for an update. So what's going on? What are you working on?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hesitant to tell her certain things if they're in the works because she will make the assumption that it's happening.
Right.
And then she'll follow up in the next call. So what's the latest with so-and-so? Yeah, it didn't happen. What do you mean it didn't happen? You told me last time you were working on it. Nope. Told you I was meeting on it.
Why does
I don't know why I did that.
But why does that push our buttons so hard?
Yeah.
Like, why, if
There's a good
anybody else came up to you and was like, what are you working on? You'd be like, what a thoughtful person to ask me about my life. Because, even, oh my God, even Brian, is that his name, the intern who had surgery?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the guy who's in the hospital. And he's like, so who's on the show? I mean, what, that's like that's like a definition of a nice person,
Yes.
What a match. Like, I don't know why. Why do people do that? Like, they're just like, oh yeah, Twister took my house and killed the chicken coop. But anyway, how was Alaska? But when parents do that, you're like, fuck you! Get off my tits, lady!
Let's take us back to the Twister killed the chicken coop. I was stuck there.
I think it's because we don't
That's so much
care.
caffeine.
We feel like our friends are asking to be polite, but I feel like you think your parents might be asking because they don't want to be disappointed with the answer.
Yeah.
And you don't want to potentially disappoint them with something.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's the difference there.
Kid baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family baggage.
Well, how do
Yeah.
you think I feel? It's not even about me. Like, it's about Kevin.
Oh, really?
That's
Did they
my
send you
thing. It's like,
clippings?
they don't care what I'm doing. I do nothing.
Yeah, what a great joy it is
Like, I don't.
for the non-show business mate when their family suddenly has access to show business.
Oh yeah.
So what's Kevin working on? Ugh.
Now you've got two families breathing down your neck.
Well, Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have scenes that you work at all
They're
with?
watching you do that, by the
Yep.
way, and they're really upset.
100%.
I just got an email from them.
This question comes from my mother. No, working with James Gandolfini. I noticed you were in that film.
I was in that film, but I didn't get to work with
You didn't
him.
have scenes with him. Yeah.
So, next.
Oh, we have.
Sorry.
No. Speaking of big, broad studio comedy, it looks like it, but also looks good. You're in The House, the new Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler,
About a casino.
about a casino that they do in their house. Tell me what you can.
Yeah, Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler trying to get their kid to college.
Who wrote this thing?
Things happen. And
Andrew J. Cohen.
Thank you. Andrew J. Cohen directs it and co-wrote it with his partner, whose name is and
Seemed like I didn't, but it's all right.
Andrew J. Cohen.
Moson's son. And I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Forgive. I can't.
He's not a fan of the show.
Oh, he's not.
Never see it.
No. They did Neighbors. They
did, yeah.
They wrote Neighbors.
Yeah, they. I don't know if they directed it, but
No, they didn't direct, but they
co-wrote
wrote it. Yeah. So this is that kind of vibe, and so it's just ridiculous.
Looks
It's kind of
hilarious.
Jason Mantzoukas is also in it, and
He's unfairly funny.
I play his ex-wife, and he is so damn funny. So he impresses upon them to turn his house into a casino so that they can. Because the house always wins,
Right.
So that they can get the money for college. And,
Side question?
Yeah.
Every day that Jason Mantzoukas showed up to work, was he wearing blue jeans and a white collared shirt?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's wearing that through the whole movie.
Come on, Jerry, we already know it. He's the same outfit every day.
He is the best improviser I've ever met in my life.
He's fast as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
Please.
How much time do we have?
47 minutes.
Okay. Real fast. So I've done a show with him a few times where it's just the two of us for an hour improvising, and I said to him, remind me what the rules are, and he's like, the rules are we just play our characters, you don't enter, you don't exit, you don't come on as somebody else, it's just the two of us for an hour. And I was like, oh, good God, how awful. And he said, well, here's what's going to happen. It's going to go really great, and about 15 minutes in, you're going to get this feeling where you want to die. And you're going to think there's nothing else you could possibly say or add to the scene or generate in any way, shape, or form. And the feeling of wanting to die is going to be so overwhelming. He said, when that happens, just go deeper. So I said, okay, great. And then we went out.
No
and
safe word, just go deeper?
just go deeper with what he said. So we, doing the show, and it's killing. And it's like going on. I'm like, wow. 45 minutes must have gone by. We probably should start wrapping it up. I look at the clock. It's literally been 15 minutes. I have nothing else to add. I have nothing else to mine. I don't know anything else to say. I don't feel like my character has anywhere or anything to learn. And I want to die.
Sure.
I want to cry and
nailed it.
die and dig a hole in the floor and bury myself alive in it. And then I hear his voice saying in my head, go deeper. And so I just turned to him, and I got nothing. And so I just turned to him and I said, are you lonely? I don't know what it means. And
Unrelated to anything.
unrelated to anything. And I just said, are you lonely? And he just goes, am I lonely? And I said, yeah. Are you lonely? And he goes, you're asking me if I'm lonely? And I said, and in my mind I'm like, I'm sorry. But I just go, yeah. And he goes, sure, yeah. Sometimes and then he proceeds to do I kid you not, a 7-minute meditation long monologue on loneliness. That is the most profound, heartbreaking, hilarious, deep, just completely nuanced thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
And at the end of it, he goes, so you ask me, am I lonely? Yeah, I'm a little lonely. And I was like, I was just like, this game over. I mean, he's extraordinary.
Well, now him telling you the qualifier and what was going to happen 15 minutes in sounds unbelievably self-serving. Like he was preparing himself to do a 7-minute monologue,
like,
no matter what you.
Man, I hope she asked me something Stupid, super deep.
I can't wait for her to go lame. Okay, now, here is, well, I can't believe we've gone this far without talking about your wonderful, 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 wonderful show. So let's circle back. Season 3 is happening. But it's casual, those of you wondering, although not many.
Sorry. Hulu's building a base, a foundation, sure.
Tell me the genesis of you being drawn into this world, first of all, as an actor.
Yeah, it was exactly what I wanted to do. When I read it and the tone of it, and knowing that Jason Reitman was at the helm of it, you know, he produces it, he directed it, and he helped Xander Lehman, who really is proving to be like just a genius.
Phenom.
Oh my God.
You're the first person to audition for the lead role.
Yeah.
The very first person to come in. And according to the research, that meant it was the first time that the creator and the director, the two you just mentioned, had ever heard the words performed.
Yeah.
Heard and seen these words performed.
Right.
First one.
First time they ever heard it out
Knowing
loud.
that many more are coming after you.
Hundreds.
So the thought must have been,
I knew I was the first person going in on the sign-up sheet. I don't know how many people had gone in on a different day or anything. I didn't realize I was literally the first person to walk in and say
which has never gotten the part.
Never. I mean, I can't imagine.
No, I checked.
Oh, really?
In the history of show business.
There's a website for
yes.
history of show business.
Google has the first person ever been hired.
So when I went in and I did the scene, Jason kind of turned to Xander, and Xander was like, no, and he goes, it works. The dialogue works, and they were just so happy that the dialogue worked, you know, because they hadn't heard it.
Thank you for proving that. Who's in next?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I'm glad I could be of service. May I have validation? But they're like, no, and so I kind of put it out of my head because I was like, well, that was fun, and also I really wanted to get in front of Jason for a while, and so I was happy that happened, whether he would remember me after that or not. And yeah, then they went through their process, you know, where they probably had to offer it to, you know, Diane Lane. I don't know why I said her. Anybody. I have no evidence that Diane Lane got offered the part. But
you were so great in Streets of Fire. Oh no, wait, that wasn't you. That was Diane Lane.
The
often get mad heads against each other.
The oft hilarious Diane Lane.
Yeah, and you know, so I ran into Jason at a premiere, because that's how I spend my days, you guys, premiering.
Quite a bit later.
Yeah. And he said,
how long would we say?
I don't know, like a month or two.
Yeah.
But he said, you know, and I assumed it'd been cast, or that they were out. That they
You'd
had,
heard
you know,
nothing.
I'd heard nothing.
Your wonderful, I mean, worthless agents hadn't really been able to follow up.
Completely. So he said, hey, I don't know if you like to hear this or not, but I really, really, really loved your audition. It was, you know, to me, it was like really just right on the note of what I heard in my head, and blah, blah, blah. And he said, but, you know, and I said, you have to go with a more famous person. He said, I just don't know if you want to hear that. I go, I would so much rather hear that than none of us liked you, but the studio is making us hire you. I was like, I would rather not, that's how my brain is. I would rather not get a job and find out that they thought I was the best one than to have, you know, afford, you know, have a salary and, you know, any kind of comfort. So, so I was tickled, and then he asked me to do one of those live reads, you know, that they do, and we did Goodfellas, and then he offered me the Lorraine Bracco part, which I was like, dude, like if I gave a good audition for this alone, that's fine. We're good. We're even. Dianu, I don't know, is that a thing?
Yeah, sure.
So, and then I went to the live read, and he said, he kept kind of looking at me like, hey, and I was like, do I owe money? Like, what's happening? And he said, have you heard from has Hulu reached out? And I said, no. Are they going to? And he goes, maybe. And then they did. So it was great.
So coy.
Yeah. I thought if they did, it meant like come in, jump through some more hoops.
Right.
Give us more reasons not to hire you.
Instead,
they just were like, yeah, we'll hire you, even though you're not a famous
person, yeah. Well, it's just, listen, thank goodness Diane Lane wasn't available.
I know. She was, she just emailed me too. She was like, I was available for the record.
So you know.
My internet was down.
Oh, man. So then season 1, the tone of the show, you're playing all the moments real, and really painful things happen. And at times they're supposed to be funny.
At times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure why.
Because life is funny.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel so deep in her that I'm like, that's so tragic.
Right.
It just only feels tragic to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're playing the reality of every moment, is that how you go about this tone?
Yeah.
Seems like the only way you could do it.
It is. I mean, I think if they want to lift the comedy out of it more, I'm happy to go there. But you're a comedian. You know where the jokes are. I know the 3-camera version of our show. I could do that. It's not what the show is. I see where jokes are, but my character doesn't know anybody's watching her that she's funny. So
yeah,
they're not
that simple,
they're not aware.
By the way, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Your character doesn't know.
Yeah.
There are cameras there.
Yeah.
Or a camera.
Exactly. So she's not going to lean into jokes.
Nope. In fact, lean away.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I just got that tattooed.
Lean away?
Lean away.
There was...
I don't know what it means.
It's the name of my third book. You kidding me? And then there's a bit of a shift from season 1 to season 2 for your character.
Yeah.
And the show.
And then season 2 to season 3.
And season 2 to season 3.
Big time.
Big swings.
Yeah.
And that must be exciting.
Yeah.
As hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the show going, people would ask. You just wait.
Why are you an nymphomaniac all of a sudden? It's that's what I love about the show, is that when you say shift, I mean, the people change, people progress, people learn things, people go through stages and phases, and maybe they come back to their most real self eventually, but you have to shake up your life. If when we meet her, she's so she's cratered her life so badly. I mean, or it's been cratered.
It's been cratered.
Divorced, her kid is a little unruly, and her parenting is questionable, and all these things. And
also the choice of where to move into.
Yeah, and her the really, really, really painful codependence with her brother is it's almost, they're mentally ill almost, So.
And that's hilarious.
Ha ha ha. So, but they're looking at it, they're examining it and trying to recover from it. And so they're trying new things and failing and sometimes succeeding. But it's, you know how life is. It's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, big leap forward, big fall back. It's just to change, you have to step outside your comfort zone, and that's what the characters do. They're not just like, it's not a show that's just it's not Archie Bunker. They're not just sitting in an armchair being racist.
No, they certainly aren't. Nor are they going by the rules of doing a funny show.
Right. No.
The writer.
I think those rules are dead, don't you?
Yeah. It seems like dramedy is more and more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And certainly some of the best storytelling happening is in 1-hour drama.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do comedy, why not? What did somebody call it? A sad com?
Yeah, sad com.
That's the new.
Yeah.
Which can be tedious in the wrong hands.
Yes.
I tuned in to laugh. Why is everyone so fucking sad? Right? So when they pitch the show, when they show trailers, the show is hilarious. And then you watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's our show. Yeah.
Yep. That was the review I was giving it. No, but I mean,
it is. But
it happens too often. So when you get it right,
I think we're just more sophisticated as an audience. I don't. What I love about Xander is he's not writing down. asking the viewer to come up, and just say, you don't know what's happening, but just be okay in the not knowing. I'm not going to hit you over the head with everything.
Right.
You're not going to decide in the first episode, we like this person,
Yeah.
and this is who they are. It's like, stuff is going to unfold, and just be patient, and it's going to be worth it,
Yeah.
So.
I had the issue with the brother. I didn't like him.
Do you see yourself in the brother?
No, he's too pretty.
Do you see a
No, I don't
problem
like-
with pretty men?
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, in entertainment. Like John Hamm is unfairly handsome and ridiculously
He
funny.
Sure is.
But both are involuntary. So I'm a little picky on who else I allow to be handsome and pretty and funny.
Handsome and funny.
Yeah, and the wonderful actor playing your
Tommy Dewey, yeah.
Tommy Dewey.
Turns out he's handsome and funny.
Yeah, so I said, no, too handsome.
You know what's great? Talk about Kyle Bornheimer again, bringing it back to him.
And also handsome and funny. Sure.
He's also handsome and funny, but I've seen the roles he's played has never been like
The handsome guy.
The handsome guy.
Yeah.
The stud.
Yeah.
The womanizer. And I thought it's such genius casting to put him in that, because that is kind of the guy that gets under your skin, is the one that seems so accessible at first.
Yes.
But will just a little self-absorbed enough that you can never really connect fully with them. And that's, to me, that's the danger, and it's so specific.
Yeah.
And just to have like a hot guy that you're just going to sweat over is like a boring choice,
Right.
But to have Kyle, who's sort of like, I have like Kyles in my life, he's so personable and
Right.
so real, and to see him in that role was, to me, the most exciting acting I've almost seen from him. It was so funny for him to take on that like cocksure guy,
I did a thing with him, a short-lived single-camera comedy, Jane Lynch and Maggie Lawson, and he was a revelation almost every day.
Yeah.
Like,
so specific.
there's not a lot going on here, and you've just made a 3-act play out of it.
Right.
So that sort of care and feeding for one's own work is inspiring to be around.
Yeah.
I find that to be the case with most of your work. Now let's talk about the ones where I did not find that to be the case.
Okay.
I do want to say that too much.
Can I get bourbon in here, please?
Too much has been written, of course, about your the time at SNL and the abrupt end after a very successful first year, an unusual amount of original characters getting on, as well as just a particularly high volume of airtime as a newbie featured player. But I found Tom Shales of the Washington Post summed it up best in regards to your sudden release from SNL.
Like
do you know this quote?
Yeah, I do.
She may have been just too classically pretty to be hilarious.
Oh my God.
Go fucking kill yourself.
Go fucking kill yourself.
You're Tom Shales
Yeah.
of the Great Washington Post, this guy who's been on high atop for 30 fucking years, is capable of writing that?
I can't believe
You just have to laugh,
at
right?
any point thought, that's okay, right? I mean, I feel like he...
Or how about an editor? Is there no one's saying, Tom, you
Is anybody
maybe
manning
we
the
don't
store?
even in the
Okay, in truth, all I heard was too pretty, and I was like, wonderful.
Yeah.
Put it on the...
classically pretty.
Put it in my press packet.
That's right. That's on the one sheet.
No, it is. It's just so funny how I heard that, and I was like, because, I mean, there were that sentence alone has so many things happening.
I found 7 right away.
So many things happening in it that it's so hard to unpack it all. But one of the things that I would never, ever have described myself that way. So to say it from this place of like, folks, we can all agree that Michaela's too classically pretty. Not a sentence I've ever really heard about anything. Too classically pretty to anything. Like too classically pretty.
Pretty too. Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Plumbing.
Right.
Be funny. Yeah.
Right.
Appear.
Like Tom Shales was trying to nag you.
Oh, we totally fucked.
Okay, so it worked.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
That was the follow-up.
But,
You guys totally fucked, right?
Yeah, totally fucked. That was in the comment section. I was like,
But also, you were playing characters. You talk about the Weekend
I
Update.
played the most
Hideous,
hideous
unattractive
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so confounded. I'm dubious he ever actually. I'm not sure he's talking about me. Like, I think he may have just like Googled and then been like found a ballerina or something, and he's like, I can't see it. It's like some very.
She's too hilarious to dance.
Yes.
That's what he said about that ballerina.
So I also, I mean,
Ugh.
the innate sexism in that is just, it's beyond. And yeah.
You broke down that whole experience beautifully on Mark Maron, so I would just say if you want to know more about it, just go to that podcast.
Oh, thank you.
I listened to it as it was happening when it first dropped. I'm a subscriber and avid listener to the Maron podcast.
Yeah, me too.
And yours, like many, was just spectacular.
Yeah, thanks. You're so smart. I really do appreciate you. And I was just saying this. I just shot something with Mark in Chicago a couple weeks ago, and I told him I never really feel like I can ever tell the story of the coming off the show again because it's been done, because he is like truth serum, and I was under a spell, and I just told him all the truths.
Yeah.
And
everything that anyone would ever need to know.
Yeah.
And beautifully articulated as well.
Oh, thank you.
Well, because you were just being honest and
because I
stream
was
of
just
conscious.
like vomiting my life.
Yeah, but that if you want what happened, get the person to do that.
Yeah, and I just feel like just go, because the following week somebody asked me, and I was like, I don't know, because he's willing to lay himself as bare as well. So I think that's part of the part where you just like.
No, he cuts himself open first before he hands you the knife.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Well, just thought of it now. There's no off switch.
Just $1 million idea machine.
You heard the Larry King game that I read earlier? You probably were falling asleep as I was. Did I ever read it? I read it.
You read it.
I read it.
It was 3 hours ago.
Oh, it was about the delicatessen,
Yeah.
Kaufman's delicatessen. It's not important.
No, just
The
the.
Larry King game.
Can we edit this part out?
Yep.
Okay.
So here's the deal. We end every show with the guests playing a fun game. I would say bring it to the Cordry's Christmas party.
Oh, right. I'll be the judge.
I actually did try this at a party gathering at the house, not just here on the show once. Just people standing in a circle. And when we first started doing it, and I said, "Here, let's try this." So here's how it works. You're going to do a bad Larry King impression. I don't want a good one.
Okay.
And it also takes the pressure off having to do what you think is a good Larry King.
Okay, yeah, good.
Do any voice, and I'm going to think it's perfect.
Okay, good.
And then as Larry, before you go to the phones, he would take a moment and look down the barrel, as they say, and he would share some of his musings that no one cared about. Larry's mind had no problem going there.
Right.
It could be about his first ride on a pterodactyl. It could be his preference of Hydrox versus Oreo. But he felt the need to share it.
Okay.
And that's the moment I need you to reenact for us.
Okay.
In order to play the Larry King game.
Okay.
Bad Larry King impression.
Bad Larry King impression.
As Larry, talk
Larry.
about an experience of his, not about yours.
Okay.
Some people have made that mistake and personalized it.
Jeezy, crazy.
Yeah, go down the Larry.
All right.
Yep. And then, after you've done that down the barrel, go to the phone.
Okay.
And the name of the city should be a little funny or weird,
Okay.
just for flavoring.
Okay.
When you're ready, there's your camera.
Okay.
Play the Larry King game.
Hello, I'm Larry King. If you're watching me now, you're probably incredibly happy about yourself. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a tough week, a lot of things happening in the news. But I can't for the life of me understand why. I was on a plane and I said to the flight attendant, are we allowed to call him that anymore? I don't know. And I asked him and I said, flight attendant, how much longer are we going to be on the flight? I had my reasons. I don't think I needed to go in on all of them. And he said, I'm not really sure. Now, how do you not know when a plane is going to land? I mean, I can look at the scheduled time, but there's a lot of variables. I think we can all agree. Headwind, tailwind, circling airports, low cloud systems. And he looks at a piece of paper. Well, anybody can look at a piece of paper. I want to know what the pilots are saying. I want to know if they can give an accurate time. I have my reasons, like I said. I have to empty a colostomy bag. Listen. I just know that when I had a job that I didn't think was all that, I knew exactly what time I was getting off. Anyway, let's go to the phones. Okay, we have a call from Chehalis, Washington.
Oh, that is the perfect Larry King game. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honestly and truly. Oh.
My contacts are so screwed up right now.
It's scary to go down that hole, isn't it?
But I did, I just got here on an airplane, and I did wonder, like, how do these, like, what do you just love flight attending so much? You're like, I don't know, when we land.
Yeah. Have you ever had a job that you didn't know when it ended? I never thought of that before.
Exactly. I'm always like, okay, oh God.
Get off work at
22 more minutes. How do I fill this space?
No matter what, there's got to be a worst case scenario. Well, we only have 8 hours of fuel, so I promise we'll be on the ground by then, one way or the other.
Yeah.
By the way, colostomy bags not funny. Some people have them. Not a joke. Didn't mean to offend. Hello. Goodbye.
Follow up Larry King game. Yeah, I always love we dumped some fuel thing. Yeah, that's always nice to hear. Where did we dump it?
Where? Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And also,
when you flush the toilet.
when the bathroom goes like the greatest suck in the history of sucks.
But didn't that?
Where's that go?
Doesn't that happen? Didn't somebody get just like recently that in I don't know where.
A blue hair gel?
Frozen waste fell.
Yeah, it killed somebody, right?
Yeah.
Here's hoping.
But that's not a regular
your
occurrence. It falls into a compartment, and the door holding the apartment came loose. And that's what happened.
Oh, geez.
So that sucking sound that I plug my ears, I hit the button, then I plug my ears. That's how loud it is.
Right. Well,
That is just
air
taking
pressure. That's why you want.
That is just taking it into a compartment.
Yes,
in the plate.
absolutely.
That's not spilling out into the atmosphere.
It feels
You thought it spilled out into the atmosphere, like into
sucking out
I
into
did.
the atmosphere.
I thought it was like it was turned into just like dust.
Well, first of all, it's 35,000 feet. It's not like
it's gonna go somewhere,
Those are the chemtrails, probably. That
into the
everybody's worried
atmosphere.
about.
It gets nowhere near Earth.
and it just breaks up.
Yep. 35,000 feet to break up. By the way,
We're
you would
inhaling
break
it
up
right
if you
now.
fell 35,000 feet. And on that note, I can't thank you enough.
I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, please come to the weekly poker game. I'm just going to invite you again right here and now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll follow up on that, and you'll
That's so
decide whether or not
nice.
it's something you're interested in.
No, I'm very busy. No, I'm kidding. That is really, really nice. I feel so honored.
Oh, stop.
I just want to say.
I meant it when I said longtime fan. Yeah, there's just certain comedic talents that just grab you, you know? The same way that
Those balls.
Timmy Dewey was off-putting because he was so pretty.
Yeah.
Your classic beauty and ability to make me laugh was just an instant thing. There's just certain times funny people just dial you right in.
Thank
Ken
you.
Marino's one of them,
Yeah.
certainly.
And as for Tommy, stick with the show because he'll win you over big time. I'll
Well,
tell you.
clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I mean,
I just meant my first experience.
No, I know. He's so good looking that I thought he was going to be a dick.
In real life.
Yeah, and he's the opposite.
Yeah, it's always
he's
nice.
a vagina.
He's a vagina. Turns out he's a big
Turns out
puss.
He's just a puss.
Yeah.
No, he's great. Yep.
I wish you nothing but
thank you.
continued
God,
success with the show.
That's really nice of you. Thank you.
Honestly and truly. Do we know, has there been discussions on a season 4?
No.
Okay, good. That'll be a surprise.
I hope so.
Yeah.
No, I think the general consensus has been season 3 is been the best one yet. So hopefully that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kyle's got a great big arc. I've decided that you and Kyle summer together. You know everything about each other.
I do love him madly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves
He's
you
a
madly.
phenomenal.
We've talked about you so much
ridiculous-
on
well,
the,
as
on
it
the
should
show.
be.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind sitting there uncomfortably while I wrap things up for the folks at home, kind of how we started the show. You remember that
This is my uncomfortable.
that dead, boring feeling?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, really, thank you.
Honestly.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, well, there's our guest today, Michaela Watkins. Once again, you've got to say it like a baseball announcer.
Do I?
Nope.
Okay.
Jamie, good luck with the Pens.
Thank you.
They're going to win the Stanley Cup tonight.
I'm overly confident, which is bad.
It's not great,
Nope.
but it beats fretting and worrying. Continued success to your Chicago Cubs.
Thank you. At last I looked, it seemed like they had retaken the lead over the Colorado Rockies.
Oh, excellent. I didn't mean on a day-to-day basis.
No, I know you didn't, but I was just throwing that out there.
Okay, good.
Because people like time markers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. They certainly do.
Yeah.
Dr. Chen, enjoy your trip to Disneyland. I want to give a big shout out to everyone there anticipating your arrival.
Mostly people at the Uva bar.
That's right. Luke Allen, thank you as always. Samantha Ward, back from the Europes. Back from the Europes, bringing up the makeup. Brad Register and Jay Makeup with the Crow's Nest. Corey Levin on post. I've gotten through it again without messing it up somehow. Tomorrow we're going to Carl Reiner's house to pre-tape a show. It'll be audio only, so that'll drop soon. Check out the follow on the Twitter and all the things, and write to us at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. And we're all over the Twitter and all that stuff for announcements of who's coming up. I think the 18th. Oh, we're pre-taping Paul Reiser on the 17th, so he'll be here. Our next show will be Mr. Paul Reiser, who I saw do stand-up last night at this fundraiser, and he was fucking hilarious. He did the thing about the husband or the man in the relationship not remembering something and making the mistake of saying, honey, do we have plans Saturday? When to honey, there have been plans locked in for that day for a very, very long time, and how the fuck could you have possibly forgotten? And that moment when right after you get done asking, do we have plans Sunday? You see it in their eyes, oh, why did I? And then the person, his wife, finally saying, what is wrong with you? We need to have someone look at this. And he did that I'm just bastardizing, he did a very funny thing on the two sides of that. His side being, so what's the end run here? We're going to take me to a place and they're going to say, yes, I have a thing? And then what? And she says, well, then I would start being nicer to you. Well, why don't we just go to that moment? Yeah.
This is great. Now we don't need to have Reiser on.
Well, I wasn't going to have him do that routine. But it was beautiful. LL Cool J was not on the show today. Cool J, that was the L. Cool. Yeah, that was a great line reading from Ms. Diane Ladd. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.